mentioned regarding the Riyak, would you have like any tips that we can practice in order to avoid from being Riyak? Because this happens almost every day in our daily life.
Yeah.
Even without our intention of being Riyak, and then suddenly it just came into our mind, oops, I feel like I have commit Riyak or something. Because say for example, you're sharing good things, or your intention is like to share good things with your family or friends, but suddenly that tiny bit of Riyak pops up. So what is the best approach or the tips for us to totally, or rather to the best of our ability to refrain from Riyak?
So one of the general ways is, first of all, get to know the self. It's important. Get to know the self. What I mean by get to know the self is, as much as we can take away every external thing that we experience, we move further inward. The more of the outward that you peel off, the further inward you go. Just a general idea to get a sense of what I'm talking about. If, for example, our phones. If you're reading social media all the time, then a lot of what I think about is reflexive. I read X, it caused me to think about X. So the topic that makes up my thought is because of something external. This in philosophy called adventitious reasons. It's external. You start to take that away now. That's one less external stimuli that I have. So now I gotta think, if that's not what I'm thinking about, what am I thinking about now? Because the mind just keeps running. So that's gone. TV is gone. Everything is gone. Facebook is gone. Okay, what am I doing now? What am I thinking about? The more you get about who, like the you that's inside of you, the more you get to feel a sense of who that you is. So you start to get rid of the external things. Okay. Then that's just a level of thought. What am I thinking about when there's nothing that stimulates my thinking? Might read a book. Okay, take away the book. This is why Muslims recite Quran a lot, because that's supposed to be what stimulates your thought. Because now, okay, Quran. But let's just say either you take that away, you take hadith away, you just sit down for a long time. What is it that you're thinking about? That's when you start to discover who you are. Then, if there's no fashion tips, how would I dress? If there's no acceptance from people, how would I dress? Do I really like the things that I wear, or is it just because there's this interaction with the outside world? They advertise it, I wear it, when I wear it, people praise it, I like the praise, so I wear another one. But if they take that, do I really like this turban? It's just a thing to make me feel better than other people. You gotta ask, why do I wear it? Why do I do all of this? So then you start to know, okay, what do I think about and how do I act? In terms of everything. Will I walk the same way if there's no external? There's nobody to care, but I just walk down the road. You start to know, okay. Then is when you start to discover, well, okay, do I really want to pray? Is it this me inside of me, this me, where everybody disappears? Is that the me that wants to pray? Or do I pray because of some external thing? Was I just conditioned by my parents to pray? Did I become so accustomed to the prayer and that I know nothing else, that there's a fear of what I don't know that caused me to stay within the realm of what I know? Is that the reason I continue being a Muslim? Just because I don't know how not to be a Muslim? Why? Because I was conditioned. I don't know any other life. I'm 20, 30, 40 years old. I don't know how to live outside of what I've been conditioned. Is that why I continue to do it? Or is there a wanting in me to do it?
So this thing as the mastery of the little voice that keeps.
Yeah.
You need to master that voice because it keeps disturbing.
Yeah. That's the you. How do you do that you? So a lot of us, there's the us inside of us that we don't know how to be. Because we don't want to discover who that is, we take all the distractions that come. So because we don't want to know, we don't want to discover who that is. or we don't know how to. So once you discover that person, then you kind of start to feel, is it that me that actually wants to pray? Is that me that actually wants to fast? Is it that me, or have I just been conditioned to do this all the time? So that's an important way. This is why ma'rifatul nafs is important. Knowing the self is one of the key aspects of tasawwuf. Right? Knowing the self. Because if you're purifying the self, you need to know what is that self. Or who's that self that I'm supposed to purify. So that's at a general level. At a more specific level, some of the advices that the ulama would give is do acts of worship when there's nobody ever, there's no possibility of a second person knowing except if you tell them. Do a lot of those. Just keep doing it. By yourself, there's nobody around, and you make it a point not to tell anybody about it. And then measure the difference between that act of worship and the act of worship when people are around. So if when I'm praying and there are people around, 100 mosquitoes can bite me and I won't, because people. But if by myself, I lock in on the mosquito from far, and you follow him. He doesn't even touch you, you're already, then okay. Then you get a sense of, okay, my prayer is better outside because I don't want to look bad for people. Would I dress the same? If I pray at home, I'm not going to the Jama'ah, would I dress the same? If you won't, then why am I dressing different when I go out? You go out because you don't want people to judge you. But at home, there's no judgment from people. So then you know, okay, I'm more concerned about the judgment of others and the judgment of Allah. And then if, so stuff like that. Would I do it only for Allah? Because it's mustahab to dress nice in the prayer. Even though little whispers, oh, but people care, Allah don't care about how you look. All of those are shaitanic. It's false sincerity that shaitan whispers to people. Because it's mustahab to dress proper to pray. But he makes you think, oh, people care, Allah doesn't, this is why I do. No, that's not why. Because you're more concerned about being done. The other thing is to measure how much praising and criticism affect your action. If you're praised for something, does that cause you to do it more? And if you're criticized, does it cause you to do it less? And then, as you're observing that, observe whether, if somebody praises something that you know is not, according to the religion, you should not be doing. But it's praised by people, accepted by people. And if you do something that, if you don't do something that you know religiously you should be doing, but people criticize it, does that affect how you act? Because then you know that, okay, what's really the thing that impacts my behavior most is the criticisms of people, as opposed to. Then another way is to look at when I act, am I mostly concerned about the forms of things, or am I more concerned about the purpose of things? Because focus on the forms is usually a sign of Riyak, while focus on the purpose and the meaning is usually a sign of sincerity. Forms would be like prayer, the forms of the prayer, stuff like that. It's important from a Shar'i perspective, but is that what occupies my thought most? Is that what I'm more concerned with? So for example, if I pray and I did all the external parts perfectly, but internally I wasn't there, am I satisfied after that prayer? Or am I still feeling that I didn't pray? Does it kill me internally that I couldn't concentrate? Or am I just satisfied because outwardly it's good? So if we're more concerned about the outer, that's usually a sign of Riya. Because that's the part that's usually seen. We're not really concerned with the part that's not seen, which is the internal aspect. How much are we affected by sins? If there's nobody around to guilt us, that's another measure. So you wake up late for Fajr, for example, you pray it after the sun risen. Nobody told you anything. And you're cool with that. All day you're happy. Because nobody got on your case. Which means that, if somebody got on your case, you'll be bothered. But you're not bothered about the sin. You're bothered about people bothering you. But as opposed to if there's nobody in the world, if you still feel bad, then okay, it's for Allah. Because there's nobody to please. I feel bad because I know this is not something I'm supposed to do. I know this pleases Allah. So then you know, okay, I am more concerned. One other way to do it, just an imaginative way, is just imagine, like when you pray, for example, no matter where you are, in the masjid or you're not, imagine that you're in like a desert or something. In your mind, just imagine that you are at a place by yourself, there's nobody around. And pray with that level of, okay, this is just for all. I am the only person that exists right now. So when you pray with that. If you don't have a toddler, if you have a toddler, very, very fast, that imagination is snatched out of you. They jump on you, like, okay, no, I'm not the only person. But pray like that. Pray, or imagine other stuff. Imagine when you pray, imagine that I'm drowning. Or don't imagine while you're praying, because while you're praying, concentrate. What I'm saying is, put yourself in those scenarios. When you see other people in troubling situations, put yourself in that. Just as a thought experiment all the time. Like you see somebody sick, bad, just ask them, if I'm in that, would I even care about wudu and stuff like that, or would I more be concerned about the sickness? Would I try to pity myself and say, oh, Allah knows that I'm sick, He's not gonna... Or what would be my state? Knowing yourself now, because you have an idea of yourself. With everything you know about you now, put yourself. What would I do? If, may Allah protect all the Muslim lands? Okay, let me reframe that. I was going to say, imagine what happened in Syria happens here. But forget that. We don't even want to say stuff like that. If I was in Syria, for example, right now, would I hold on to faith? 7, 8 years in, would I still be thinking, I gotta get up and pray? Or would I be thinking, why is this happening? God, does God even exist? Making dua every day, nothing happens. Is He real? Am I just calling out to the wind? You ask yourself these questions. What would I do? If I didn't eat for a month and eating dust on the road, would I still care about wudu? Or would I be angry? Stuff like that. Just a test. Where am I really spiritual? If I'm drowning, would I care about prayer?